Yeah, I am so lucky to be working 24 hours for several years and nobody knowing me. There are so many people who are spending 5, 4, 3, 2 hours a week making millions of dollars. Not going to happen. Today, I'm going to talk about the seven things that you must always have a handle on before you start a business. So let me get into the first thing immediately. You need to find a real problem that your customers are facing. If you don't know a real problem that your customers are facing, and you just want to start a business because business is so good and it's going to get you money, then there's no business. You are trying to solve a problem for yourself, which is we don't have enough money. That should not be the problem that we would be solving. We need to solve a real problem for a group of people in order for you to have a business. So if you don't have a problem that you're solving, there is no business. It's just a hobby. So if you know that there is a problem, you need to dig deeper and deeper into the problem and understand that problem. If you're brave enough, understand the problem better than your customers. And I know that sounds like really extreme, but in reality, big businesses that I work with, they really understand the problem of their customer better than themselves, as in better than the customers themselves. Without a problem, there's no business. So here's why you should watch this entire video. If you don't know these 7 things, including the thing that I talked about right now, then you don't have a business. I don't want you to fail for nothing. So that's why you should watch this video. But if you understand these 7 things, then you have a solid background. You don't need to go through the mistakes and the trial and error that I went through, many of my friends went through, many of my clients went through. That's why you should listen to this video in entirety. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, if that serves you, for sure, go ahead and subscribe and be part of our community so that you could take your business to the next level. So let's jump in. So what did we say so far? We need to solve a real problem in business. Real problem for the customers. And you need to understand deeper and deeper. You need to dig deeper into the customer's head to find out what is really going on in their head. One imagination would be, if they're having a conversation in their head, sneak into that conversation that they're having. And then you just get inside the conversation that they're already having. That's when you're like, that's what they are going through. And if you don't need to have that much clarity, but you need to have a general understanding that there is one problem that your business is solving for your customers. Got it? Moving on to the second one. Second one, even if you can solve a massive problem, if you're not passionate about, don't do that. So you know that you could solve a problem, but you're like, I'm in it just for the money. I just want to be rich. I just want to make a lot of money. I want to buy expensive cars. If those are your reasons, don't do it. It's highly likely that is not going to happen if you're not passionate about it. Because in business, I'm going to talk about this in a second, but in business, your probability of succeeding could be lesser than you actually think. Because especially when you're starting to think about a business, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. And all of a sudden, like in 3 months from now, Oprah Winfrey is going to interview me, and then I'm going to be so famous, and then all of a sudden I'm big. It's highly likely for most people that is not going to happen. So if you're not passionate, when you are wounded and when you are bleeding, literally, when you're bleeding in cash flow, when you don't have money, when you are having that night where when you put your head on your pillow, if you don't want to be regretting that, oh my gosh, why did I start this thing? Make sure that you have passion for the problem that you want to be solving. If there is no problem, there is no business. If there is a problem, and if you're not passionate about it, there is no business for you. Got it? Third thing, you need to have proficiency in this solving this problem. So that has a kind of an exception, and I'm going to share about the exception in a second. If you're like, you know what, there is a major problem in the spacecraft community, like the rockets that are going from here to the Mars, they have a major technical issue. Right? And I'm seeing that, I think there is a great idea to solve this thing. And you don't know nothing about rocket science, literally, then you don't know how to solve it. You don't have any proficiency. Does that make sense? And there are exceptions to this. Some people are outrageous, and then they might figure out a way and study this and gain proficiency and learn rocket science and do it. But most people, they don't have a lot of time to do that. So that's why if you don't have proficiency, most likely that is not a business for you. But this is exception. If you don't have proficiency, but if you could find another person who has proficiency, then get that person as a business partner or as a COO, and then you could start that business. So you have a problem that you're solving, and you're passionate about it, and you have proficiency, you can go ahead. And I'm going to share a few more things that's really important. But if you don't have proficiency, then find another person who has proficiency so that you could move forward with that. Make sense? Let's say you have all the three for now, or you found another person to manage this business. Elon Musk is like, you know what, the Tesla thing is not working out for me, and I want to partner with you. He says he wants to partner with you to do this spacecraft improvement program. Yeah, go for it. Makes sense? So you got the three things. What is that problem? Passion and proficiency. Now, moving on to the fourth thing. In business, when you try 5 things, only one of them succeed. I'm not saying in 5 businesses, only one business succeed. What I'm saying is, in business, if you try 5 things, only one of them go in the direction that you want to go. Other 4 of them are your biggest teachers. And most people call them failures. And let's be real about this. Before you start the business, you will have those beautiful things called failures in business. If you have, like, I have people who have gone to the best universities in the world, the Harvard, the Princeton, the biggest colleges in the world, and they never failed in their life because they were the best of the best in school, they were the best of the best in college, and they were the best of the best in career. And all of a sudden, they start a business, they are failing. It's an unknown feeling for them. And you are going to have that unknown feeling. This is not a positive thinking, imaginary unicorn idea. The reality is, out of the 5 things, the 4 things, yeah, are not going to go in the direction that you want to go. So what do? You learn from the 4 things and go with the 5th thing and make a lot of money on the 5th one that is working out. You're going to be wounded. There would be blood. There would be negative cash flow. You would feel like a loser for some time. And you might be laying down on bed and like, oh my gosh, why did I start this? And the answer would be because I have a real passion for this. I have a real passion for it. And I stand by this passion. That's why you need passion. Yeah. So you have a reason for continuing in the business because you're passionate. You know why you're doing it. Maybe there is a bigger cause. Maybe there is a mission from you. This is connected with your mission in your life. This is connected with the purpose of your life. This is connected with a higher level self that you're building right now. If that's the case, then you're going to stay in that business. So here is the news for you. You are going to fail in 4 out of 5 things. And when that happens, you should be able to like dust yourself up, stand up, and do the next thing again. And if you don't think you could do that, don't start a business. That's the 4th thing. Now, so what did we cover so far? Problem, passion, proficiency, failure. We don't want to call it failure. It's going to be learning. If you're willing to accept and accept and learn from it, then it's a learning experience. So if you're ready for all these four things, then you could continue to the next thing, which is freedom. You start a business and all of a sudden you're like, I want passive income. I'm in business for passive income. I was working in my corporate life 9 to 5, like sometimes 9 to 5, 5:15. This was like too much hard work. I was spending like 45 hours. This guy is the owner of the company. He makes millions of dollars. Why should he? Like, the way I look at it, if I spend 10 hours a week, and I read a book called, I don't know, 5-hour work week or 3-hour work week. Oh my gosh, there is this new fascinating idea. There are so many people who are spending 5, 4, 3, 2 hours a week making millions of dollars. Not going to happen. Let me tell you straight, that is not going to happen. You're going to work 24 hours for the 1 to 2 years of you building the business. Literally. Even in your sleep, you're like, did I send that thing to people? Oh my gosh, did I do this thing? Oh, I forgot this thing. And then, you will be crazy. You will be working really hard. So if you have been in a corporate life where you felt that 40 hours of work is too much and you're trying to reduce your hours by starting a business, don't start a business. It's going to be very surprising for you if you do that, right? Because when you start something, when you work for a corporate, what is going to happen? What is happening? You don't need to do the basics. Here, you are the cleaning lady. You are the garbage man. You are the marketing person. You are the salesperson. You are the branding person. You are the technician. You are the entrepreneur. You are the everything. You are the customer care. I remember Tony Robbins talking a long time ago about him starting his business. And he had, 200 square feet apartment where he lived. And then he didn't have enough time or space to set up his office. And he said he had this bunk bed. So he was staying in a bunk bed on the top, right? So he would stay there and then the phone will ring and then he will jump down from the bunk bed to the bottom and sit on the table below this bed, like sit in front of the table in a chair. Obviously, Tony Robbins cannot sit on a table. It's going to be broken. So he will sit on a chair and then he will pick up the phone and say, thank you for calling to Robbins Research International, with a different sound. And then people will be like, hey, can I try to book Tony? And then he'll be like, hold on for a second. Let me transfer you to Tony. And then he will pause for a second. And then he comes back with his sound, however way he speaks. And hey, here's Tony Robbins. How can I help you? And then that's how he built his business. But he had a vision and he built multi-billion-dollar businesses. I don't know, probably 60 of them, right? This all started with a 200 square feet apartment where he was working and working and working and working and working until you feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot take this anymore. And if you're not willing to do that when you start a business, you don't have a business. I just want to be very blunt about it, right? You don't have a business, don't get into this game, right? So some people are like, oh my gosh, how lucky these people are. People who have millions of dollars, they have a global brand. I teach people in different countries. Some of my friends like, you're so lucky. Yeah, I am so lucky to be working 24 hours for several years and nobody knowing me. And then people start to know me. All of a sudden, oh, you lucky bastard. You got everything that you need. So if you want to be that lucky bastard, here is the thing. You need to be willing to spend all of your waking hours working on your business for the first 2 years. And then, you could hire people, you could have other people, you could leverage time, resources, other things. But I wanted to be very clear about it. So this is really important. And the sixth point is you need to know how to persuade people in business. So if you are doing a business and you have this fascinating problem that you're solving for spacecrafts, and let's say Elon Musk, partnered with you to solve this problem, Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, and then you guys are working on this thing, and then if you don't know how to talk to NASA, for example, and then they're like, how is it going to be useful for them? And if you're not able to persuade them, build trust with them, persuade them to use your product, then there is no business. Because you had the greatest idea, you are so passionate about it. So many people come to me like this. They're so passionate about it. They have so much experience on it. They have failed multiple times. They worked really hard on it, but they don't know how to persuade other people to work with them. So if you don't know how to persuade, there is no business. So I would recommend that you learn the skill of persuasion. Skill of persuasion. The two books that I recommend that you read, if that's something that you like, that you are still playing with, one is the book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. Another book is Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. So read those two books 5 times if you have to. You don't need to read so many books. Just read that books, each of them at least 3 times. This way you have clear understanding about how to persuade people, how to influence people, how to help people to get to the other side, how to get them to buy your product, how to embrace your company, how to be positioning yourself. By the way, another book is Positioning by Jack Trout, Positioning. So 3 books that will give you enough clarity about persuasion and positioning and marketing, right? So you need to know that. So don't start your business and all of a sudden you have the greatest of the greatest of the greatest product that human species have ever seen, and nobody buys from you. You're like, what the heck? What happened here? I mean, I thought Apple was suckers. Like Apple, they have very low quality products compared to my product, but nobody buys from me. Nobody buys from me. Why? Because you don't know how to persuade people. So learn. So if you have all the other 5 things, learn how to persuade. You could note down the books. I don't get paid if you go read the books. So just go ahead. There's no link at the bottom. Just go ahead and get those books from somewhere. Go get from a library, rent from a library if you want to be very optimizing the cost. So figure out a way to get those books. If you don't have time, go to Audible, download Audible, listen to these books. 15 hours, you have read all these 3 books. And then you move to the last step. Then when you start this business, which is a final step, I was reading about a company that was, in the US, a multi-billion-dollar company that reduced a small percentage. Imagine there is something that they are trying to sell, like 1 pound of sugar. Instead of 1 pound, they put like 3 ounces less, or like 1 ounce, a very small quantity less in all the packaging. So collecting all the packaging, they saved millions of dollars. I want you to do, I'm kidding. Okay, I want you to do the exact opposite of that. If your business is about giving 1 pound of sugar to everybody, give 1.1 pound or 1.01 pound. Give 1% more than what other people are giving. Become a giver. Become a giver so that you earn the right to give again. Because your customers today, they are so picky. And the moment they see that you are the person who gives tiny bit more than everybody else, in terms of value, in terms of other things, in terms of customer care, in terms of the experience that they're having working with you, then they will come back to you. You earn the right to tell them again, hey, I have another product. I have another thing. I have another thing. Could you connect me to another person who could work with me? Could you introduce me to another person who could be a potential client? They would love to do that. You create raving fans if you are going to do that. So always be on the giving end. Always be giving. Always be giving. right? Giving slightly more than everybody else. So what are the 7 things? The first thing is find a problem that is not solved in the market. Every market has a problem that is not solved, right? The second thing is you need to be passionate about what you're doing, solving this problem. You need to feel like, oh, you know what, this is my purpose here. I feel like this is something that resonates deeply in the heart of my heart. The third thing is you need to have the proficiency, and if you don't, find another person who has the proficiency to do it for you, with you. And number 4 is embrace failure, accept failure. Be okay to accept failure and learn from it. And fifth one is know that there is no 9 to 5. It's 24/7 in the first 2 years. You're going to work really hard. You're going to work your ass off for 2 years, and nothing is going to happen for 2 years. And then everything's going to change. Jack Ma was talking about like starting Alibaba, and he said for the first 2 years, almost nothing happened. Almost everybody gave up. And then it happened. It's going to be like that. So if you have this employee mindset, oh, I need to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. There's no paycheck. I need to get my bonus. There's no bonus. I need to get a steady monthly income. There's no steady monthly income. Surprises, there's no income. You need to have enough cash flow, you need enough cash reserved to survive through this journey. Like, pass through this journey. Like, you're still figuring out the brand, figuring out the marketing, figuring out the sales, figuring out the details until you reach one point, all of a sudden, everything changes. The moment everything changes, and then you start growing geometrically. Right? And the next thing is persuasion. Learn to persuade people, influence people. And I recommended 2 or 3 books there. Go ahead and read those and learn how to persuade, influence people. And finally, give 1% more than everybody else is giving in the market. Just 1% more than everybody else is giving in the market. And if you are ready with these 7 things, then you could start a business.